later, because we're getting into draft, but it was very sad. It was walking home alone in the darkness, listening to DK lose.
Yeah.
It was painful.
It was rough. But thankfully, it's 3 years later, and we have this wonderful telecom war. And let's take a look at the draft so far.
Hey.
T1, they did this, same bands in game 1 when they were on blue side.
Tristana. Yeah. Obviously, guys, this draft has already been done, so everything's going to be snappy. But we knew that Tristana was immediately going to come through. So the Viego, I think, is preemptively a pick to give the possibility of a Vi less value. Owner hasn't really been as enamored with AP junglers outside of specifically Nidalee. Now, I don't think it's necessarily a thing of can't play, but it is what T1 has been prioritizing. Owner is generally more facilitative roles, unless it is a Nidalee, in which case he does get to be the main character for a little bit. Lulu taken away again, obviously with the Zeri coming through, no surprise. The Nautilus is still up. Some expectation would be that it's probably going to be Ezreal Nautilus as it turns out, Owner going to be playing the Zyra here, and it's Braum to finish off the draft. R5 Braum here for Beryl. Going to be a bit of a tough one here for KT. I do think, though, if you can get BDD and or Deft ahead, and you can just sit there, fire off skill shots, and maybe use that as a way, and then they can't really engage as much because of the Braum, but it's pretty narrow. Maybe the level 1 invade to flip the game with that Braum. Could be an angle, Valdez.
Let's see how it goes. Let's hop into the rift for game 3.
KT fans.
KT fans are going nuts. I mean, they were definitely a bit more quiet, but they were the intensity of it.
It was visceral.
Yeah.
Valdez.
They know they have to make up in terms of quantity, and they did a great job. Faker is he's found the enemy team. There's a Braum there. Beryl absolutely going to flash there.
It's the level 1!
Faker, and you know what? Over the wall, that's the stun. Faker's dead!
It's the level 1!
And it goes to Deft as well! And Gooba...
Get another?
One auto. Yep, there's the stun.
Gonna have to use his cleanse at least.
That's the cleanse, and now he's going to be late to lane. Faker should know about the Braum level 1. That should not have happened.
That's actually so big as well. Like, perfect with that invade. Actually, no plans. So that's going to substantially slow down. So cleanse gone, flash gone, owner's clear, which is one of the biggest advantages that you have. Already going to be put on the back foot. Has to invest his smite right from the get-go. This is basically as good of a start as you're realistically going to get for KT.
I mean... Yeah, I mean, everybody's there, so you can't be there. It's as simple as that.
Oh, Beryl. Oh, and you always have to mention it whenever Braum is picked, because he is arguably the best level 1 champion in the game. Like, his passive is so insanely strong. And that late invade is something that T1, I think, got caught off guard by. Now it means that Owner, I imagine, will still be able to just clear towards the top. It will get spotted, though. And if you do get on top, Pioshik does have a lot of power. It says a lot about Zyra's clear that even with Pioshik getting a leash and Owner being slowed down, he's still pretty, 10 seconds ahead on the clear. So it's just going to be some vertical jungling here, but I don't think you mind that, given that Deft already sitting on Elite, and Gumayushi is going to have to be very, very careful here, because with no cleanse, maybe they want to look for an early dive if they can get more poke down.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many things that were taken away from T1, the cleanse, the flash, the late to lane stuff, but yeah, the fact that Deft gets this first blood and gets to lane in a really good spot is pretty huge. I mean, you just don't have any pressure from your bottom lane now. On the side of T1, they're going to be relatively far behind. We saw that Zeri Alistair, very strong bottom lane duo, and just in general, those two champs have been winning a lot individually as well. you know, they get that, but it's not going to quite look the same with how far they are behind at this point. You know, as the game comes along, I'm sure Guma will stabilize, but he's still going to be behind the 8-ball when it does come to some of this stuff. As, okay, gonna dash that.
I think we missed it, but I think either Guma or Keria got one of the medium-sized Krugs, because Pyosik actually is down a creep, and like he didn't hit level 3 until he actually finished his own blue, even though he did a full side bot clear. So that actually ended up mattering a decent amount, because, you know, with the lower level, don't have as many points in your abilities, so it is really going to hurt your ability to clear. As we do see here, there's time spent in enemy jungle, but it's basically just a split of the jungle. The main question is, can we get anything out of it? As Faker did just go in.
Yeah, he's going in. I feel like he's almost trying to make up for what happened earlier, but that's going to put him behind even further as BDD picks up the kill. No flash for Faker, hops in, immediately punished. As Pyosik, it was like the perfect timing for him to go back, buy up, and run straight to mid lane and get the gank.
Remarkable as well that he walks into the brush, gets spotted, sees the ward as well, and I think the timing are just impeccable. I imagine Faker just jumped in. If you get the full autos, then obviously you get the reset on your jump. As yeah, look, oh, that timing. And he can't walk up, like BDD does a good job there, walking away, ensuring that you don't actually get, as even in the picture of Victor, like even if he doesn't die, it doesn't matter, he just TP back to lane. That's a huge win for KT.
Yeah, no, it's massive. I think that's, I don't really know the idea, but really trying to put on as much pressure as possible and at least help the rest of his team get into a position to, you know, have at least an even lane state. He's still trying to trade here on top of soldiers. BDD's like, thank you very much, I will enjoy that. As Owner's also going to be spotted, so that's a nice amount of information as to where exactly he's going to be. And there's another ward to spot him, has to be scanned.
The tracking is good, but that ward from BDD, I think, not the best, because the chance of getting spotted is relatively high. You already know he's going to be pathing towards the top side of the map. Most notably, though, Pyosik's early activity is really good for his lanes, but it also means that he is actually falling pretty substantially behind, right? Is now just hit level 5 as well, but is still pretty far behind when it comes to experience compared to Owner. Obviously picked up his Faded Ashes. The difference maker, though, is that Barrel was already out on the map. So at the very least, they're going to be able to get, I want to say 2, and it looks like with that confirmation, they're probably just going to trade free grubs for the Dragon, as Owner should be able to get through that relatively quickly.
As we do have a pause, we'll see what this is about. Early on, knowing he didn't have flash, was able to punish it already, and might be looking for some more.
Early grubs are going to go over here as expected. T1 clearly not wanting to contest for that. Deft also is in the great position of not facing Skarner this time around. He also had a much better game individually on the Jinx, but that was, I'd say, the biggest reason as to why the team fights went as poorly as they did.
Well, here's the scoop. Very nice buffer here from Faker. And he's going to trade his W for a ultimate ability from the Azir. Obviously, the damage still goes through, but looks like he is able to stabilize quite a bit there in that mid lane. The CS still very comparable, very even here between those two.
Right now, looking at the lane states, top doesn't matter. It's 2 tanks. They're trading grasp stacks. Their TPs are on the same timer. Mid, we do see Faker going in aggressively. BDD, if he had his ult, could have maybe done something there. Not going to be the case. And then Faker probably gone in. Would have been a bit higher, but almost out of mana as well. So I imagine both of them are going to be looking for a back. BDD looking to go towards Nashers again. Do note, though, that there wasn't really a possibility for T1 to go for this Dragon. Me and the KT is both going to get 3 grubbies as well as an early Drake.
Yeah, I mean, you saw them kind of hovering around it and trying to get some pressure around the Drake, but Barrel just kind of had to stand there, and they were denied of any real entry into the river. As there is a Skarner here. Owner is in a lot of trouble. He gets knocked up against the wall. The Impale is going to miss, and so they'll just stop there. So kind of unfortunate for Perfect. The angle was a bit off. Keria is being bullied a little bit, but Owner over here with Faker.
Yeah, at the very least, should be able to get flash there. Owner did have flash, so shouldn't, very close there for Deft. So he shouldn't realistically ever get taken down by the Impale. But yeah, Perfect. Predicting a sidestep that probably didn't have to try and predict. Big miss, and means that Owner does hold on to his clutch, which is a really big cooldown, especially on Zyra, who does not have any other form of escape except standing her ground and trying to blow you off.
Yeah, and she can do that pretty well, but you know, has to be in a position where she's not dying immediately, at least, so she can cast her abilities. If you do impale her in a fight and she hasn't been able to do that, she's probably going to win that fight against the Zyra. And Faker still being bullied here quite a bit. Getting the zoom in from Jonah Strong, thinking BDD's going to go for something. Could certainly try to make a play, but Owner is coming on up. Beryl has been very proactive around the map, just clearing a lot of vision around the bottom side. Owner will deny him a clear on that control ward, though. And KT enjoying another early lead. This looks a little bit like what we had in game number 1, at least in terms of like the gold diff and stuff like that. Obviously different drafts and different situation, but still another opportunity for KT with 3 early games in a row, essentially, that they win. And could be 2 wins in their win column if they do, you know, pull it together from early to mid.
All going to come down to, can T1 ensure that they find the same level of team fighting that they did before? I want to talk a little bit about some of the more intricacies when we get to the 5v5s, because both teams realistically are going to be looking, right? You have double tank front line. Tristana and Azir are both good inside lane, so it's not like they can't split push, but don't think that that is going to be the main focus, although Faker might want to try and maybe get a turret at some point, you know, give up a second or third Drake so that you can get some gold back into this Tristana. But KT's engage is basically the opposite of what they had last game. Last game they had some of the best engage tools in the world. This time around you have negative engage, realistically.
Uh-oh.
Get somewhere first.
Yeah, Piocha getting on top of Owner. He's just gonna throw his whole kit on the ground, tries to flash over to Zaze, but now the Impale gonna catch him and Owner goes down. A lot of damage being done by the All Out, but now BDD comes over. He wants more, he wants blood, he wants to take down Cassante, and that he will. Perfect picks up the kill. It's 2 more on the scoreboard to KT.
KT Valdez. This team has defied expectations, both in negative and positive ways, so many times. But is it actually happening after the as we said, someone probably should have predicted.
Yeah.
Because if everyone predicts T1, isn't there a chance? Isn't there an inkling? And here we see the issue with Zyra. Once you get on top of her, she doesn't have a whole lot of recourse, and it's, again, I think crucially, it's BDD who's earlier on the play. It's Beryl who was early on the rotation, and you can see this alone is not enough, but this team has struggled so much, both in-game and out-of-game, over the last couple of weeks, and right now are sitting at a 2k gold lead against the reigning world champions and the team that was so obviously the second best in the LCK last split. If they could actually get a win on the Saturday Showdown after the first couple of weeks they had, and I'm not saying that will happen, and we should all just kind of chill out.
Just chill out, Chronicler.
Chill out. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll take it. I take everything back. Really, if you think about it,
let's just pretend the last minute didn't happen.
If you think about it hard enough, you know how they're gonna get objectives. They don't have engage.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Piocha can't just always.
I guess they're
in
just
gonna,
sit back, let T1 come back. Surely.
Yeah.
No, I think that KT in this position, really, really strong. They're getting a lot of plates. I mean, BDD got 1 mid. Deft is picking up 3, and I think all 3 of those were solo too. He just got 2 here. He got the first one alone. So just 3 extra plates on First Blood Ezreal, and it's Deft that's piloting it. Yeah, he didn't have a good first game, but this is a different game, and he's not playing against Skarner, which for some reason was his counter on Ezreal. But this is a different situation, you know, and KT, they got that win in game 2. right? It does feel like they've kind of shaken the jitters off, the big crowd there over at the Goyang Sono Arena. BDD actually has picked up 2 plates now, and he's looking for a third. I mean, this is really widening the gap in gold right now.
And the big thing is, because of those earlier kills they found on Owner, they got 6 grubs. Like, that is an insane amount of power for BDD and Deft specifically. Deft has his W, BDD obviously with the Nashor's First has an incredible amount of attack speed.
Faker can't defend this alone.
No, and he'll be able to make it out still.
4 plates?
They might just take this straight up.
5? A turret before 14?
The grubs!
Carrier's getting in there, and the grubs, they get it, the first turret, and all of the plates before 14 minutes. Carrier desperate to try to stop them, but instead he's just going to go down. Guma has to get away from the Impale, and Perfect is very tanky. He's still getting in there, as Carrier finally will be taken down. The reset comes in, and now the rest of the team is getting baited into this one. Although Zeus is coming in from the top lane, gets the all-out on a Pioshik, who is in a bit of trouble. Does get over the wall there, but he is going to go down. It's a double kill over to Guma. And did KT overextend as BDD finally makes his way back? He's looking for a bit more as Guma will get away. Zeus' stun does come down, but that is Cassante, ladies and gentlemen, as he will get away. Faker, meanwhile, was back here, and he'll hop away.
It gets a little silly, Veldes. we're getting crazy with it. I'm not sure what just happened. We're gonna go for it when we get to the replay. Perfect impales unfortunately remain a big problem area. I like the gusto of KT. Going for this turret I think is great. I do not physically comprehend how Carrier was able to not die here. One of the big things is that Perfect goes off by himself and then whiffs the ult on Guma, meaning that Guma's fine. Carrier actually gets to pilot out, and because of his ult, doesn't go down until much later. And then, oh no.
Walls aren't real, not against Garner, and Owner's in a bit of trouble, but he drops down the ult, and now the follow-up comes in from T1 as Pioshik has to flash away. But here comes Deft, he's doing a lot. Faker trying to pop him out of this fight, actually, but the first kill will go on Aguma. Faker does get the assassination, but Pioshik is Zeri, and now he has gone back into the Viego form as the Impale again is going to miss. And I mean, I don't know how he keeps missing it, but it's okay. He's got some rocks to throw, and he's going to throw it into that front line, into both of them. There's no escape for the 2 members of T1. They will both be killed by Pioshik. And that is 6 kills now for Pioshik on this Viego.
They just keep committing. T1 wanting to set up for the river fight. Like, Perfect, he doesn't get the wall slam. Then Pioshik goes in without ult, so he basically gets almost zeroed. He's fine. Faker tries to kill Deft. Then Deft already gets out before he gets the opportunity to jump on top of his head, which means that Faker has to get into a position where he effectively uses his escape. And even Perfect, 100% miss rate on Impales doesn't change the fact that 2 members of T1 are stuck in the pit with Braum standing guard. And the fact that Pioshik somehow ends up getting all these messy fights, this is what Viego lives for.
Yeah.
Braum as well, like, it doesn't matter if KT doesn't have great engage. If T1 is just walking into fight and skirmish after skirmish, because if you can just get 1 kill and weave in and out, like that fight started with him at 20% health.
Yeah. That's fine.
But shouldn't be.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of an issue. I mean, KT just got such a huge lead, and they have the confidence they can beat T1 because they won in game 2.
I love that highlight on the experience there as well. Owner is playing Zyra into Viego. Like, obviously, the gold is going to be skewed because of how fat Pioshik is, but realistically, the level of pace you should be able to get on Zyra is what makes her so strong. And in my opinion, Zyra is one of the hardest AP champions to play. I feel like Talia, once you kind of get a feel for her and, you know, learning to hit W's on your own can be tough, but if you have a good comp for it, it really plays itself in many ways. The rotations are really easy. You have a great jungle clear. I think Karthus is also a great example of, realistically, if you just full clear and press R at good times and throw a wall and a skittle every now and then, you'll be okay.
Fine.
But for Zyra, your positioning needs to be so much crisper because you just blow up, and unlike Brand, I feel like you really want to get multiple rotations up, or if it's a Brand, you know, if your passive triple stack is spreading, you're probably winning the team fight anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And
You know.
I know. Pioshi is here, and he wants to fight. They want to get on top of a Cassante, though. It's not going to be easy. And they're just going to drop the Rift Heralds, not really actually try to kill Zeus here, just try to pressure this bottom lane. And it's going to be big, especially once we do get to Baron territory. You know, put as much pressure down the bottom lane as possible, maybe even break down an inhibitor, then you've got a lot of pressure on that very important objective. But it's Hextech Soul, which I didn't even realize.
No, because there's been... we didn't talk about the fact Deft also has gone teleport and Barrel went for heal, right? So that also gives you a ton of utility when you get to the mid to late game. You can park Deft in the side lane. This would be big, but no. And this early on, I don't think the Zeri really has a realistic chance of stealing this. But this is the first relevant Soul. And Ezreal and Azir with Hextech Soul, who cares if you don't have, you know,
Skarner.
The best, well, oh god, yeah. Even Viego can really make good use of the attack speed. His poke actually is really dumb. But the slow adds so much value as well for a composition where obviously I haven't run into any issues because T1 has just been walking face first into them. But there won't be an issue if you are... Oh, that's mean. If you're able to get that Hextech Soul in right now. Like, I talked about the T1 Wombo combo. You're going to have to get one hell of a Wombo combo. And realistically, I know Deft had a lot of oopsies in game number 1. But Ezreal, Azir, and Viego should not be easy to lock down into a big Wombo combo, Azir or Alistar, into Zyra type of play.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, he's not going up against Skarner, his counter, so I think realistically he should be fine.
Come on, Valdez.
Also, everything I said about the draft, you know, it doesn't end up mattering much because the Braum actually, you know, you've talked about it a lot. You engage in that, he's going to enjoy it and just hanging out. The Braum is going to feel good. You hold up a door against double AD carry from ahead. There are angles to get value out of it. It's not like he picked, you know, Singe support or anything like that. So, you know, Barrel's been actually having a pretty good game on this one. Outside of even the level 1, he's been very proactive all around the map. Just doing general support things, can pretty much be playing any champion.
Could be putting a little bit more points in E, you know, that's that.
Yeah, we're not going to ask too much of him, you know. Maybe Ox will on the desk.
We'll leave that as Deft does now finish his transformation. The 2 items done for him. KT, you can start threatening. Like, obviously, you need to sweep out the ward, but
the Korean side was heavily showing this off. That the fact that T1 knew 100% they weren't doing Baron, so
but now
there wasn't any reason to face check them.
Oh, they don't. Oh, I love this. The suspense.
Yeah,
they're just backing.
They're not even there.
Because if you're a KT, as long as you don't lose Baron, and I really love to keep BDD here, stagger the backs to make sure that if they do try, BDD can go and try to delay, because they don't have the control necessary to go for a big Baron play this time around. KT can just keep setting up traps. If someone walks in, it's great, and if not, you can set T1 for an impossible choice where you can either go for, you know, for Dragon, and then if they get Baron, who cares? It's a Hextech Soul. Gonna be able to win out on that trade. Or you can just keep setting up and keep fishing with Perfect, and I'm sure one of these fights he's gonna hit an Impale. He isn't even playing bad. This is the funniest part.
Yeah.
Like, only his Impales.
Only his Impales. He's like always in the right spot, always good, you know, flanks, good target acquisition. Yep. Just, you know, needs to press R button a little bit more better.
Mostly better. He's pressing it plenty of times.
Yeah.
It does have a bit of a
the quality of them, yeah.
But that didn't stop Zeus in game 1.
Yeah. The wind up itself, I feel like it's actually pretty quick. It looks like it's longer than it actually is. You can really get caught off guard by that, actually. I remember when I was first playing against Shane Skarner. As Barrel, he's got a wall. It's not leveled up, but that's okay. The poke is coming in, and they're even going to get a flash out of Keria, who says, well, I don't want to blow my ults here, so I'll just flash instead.
You got to start it up here. Keria doesn't have his flash. Oh, KT. Yeah, so this just tells us they want to play for Drake. They don't want to risk it. Baron is a much more high-risk objective.
Yeah.
It's easy to fit. We're only 23 minutes in. This isn't...
Yes.
We're not like 30-something where, you know, I think the Baron is less of a threat. You get through it relatively quick. You stay a lot healthier.
Yeah, because if they start it and they lose, then you lose Baron and you don't get Hextech Soul.
Yeah,
and immediately T1 are back in the driver's seat somehow.
They haven't lost a turret this game, and then multiple turrets are going to fall. A lot of standing gold there for T1.
Yeah, better to play it safe.
They're so close, Valdez. If they get either Hextech Soul or Baron, that might be enough.
I'm very even keel about this. I'm not expecting anything, actually.
Nothing on the inside, nothing on the outside.
Yeah,
it's just a game of League of Legends.
Hanging out, playing some League. And Carrier, he does have that very nice support item. Keeping him alive with some opposition to the damage of Deft.
Is on cooldown now, though.
Yeah. And I think it's more so a show of just how strong Deft is at this point in time. He's got 2.5 items. He is chunking people. And, I mean, Guma's in a similar spot, but especially from ahead, the poke from the Ezreal is going to be very, very oppressive. And there's not much vision at all here for T1.
Oh, they know. Yeah, they have to flip it on this fight. It's all or nothing. I don't know if they can get it to the pit in time. Owner can get there. No!
No, they're just not going to get there on time. It's just a Hextech Soul, just like that, and they want to take the fight after Mateus. He goes in, and you know what? He's trying to get on top of a Sonya's BDD, who is going to live for now. He goes in, he gets the sweep onto 2. As he gets pretty low, they take him down, but Pioshik's still alive.
No resets.
But no resets, and Guma now is shelling them down. How did T1 win this fight? How is this happening? As Perfect now all alone, he's going to be taken down, and T1 should get the Baron.
Oh, that is so much gold into the pockets of T1. Baron Bounty about to come up here, and it's the target selection that just isn't there. Pioshik needs 1 kill to pop off. 1! And everything looks good, right? Zeus gets slow. BDD gets his stopwatch. And then this is where the trouble begins. They can peel off here. They can just let Deft die and have that be the end of it. But Barrow wasn't in the fight. They're basically fighting so fragmented. Their main damage dealers are either Zonya Stop or dead.
Yeah, they both sent themselves into the fight.
Just leave!
1v5.
Just leave! You get...
So, Deft Arcane shifted the wall to try to get the kill onto Zeus. Misses the Mystic shot, dies immediately. BDD after that goes in, gets a divide onto 2 people.
Got a 2-man shuffle though.
Yeah, got a 2-man shuffle, didn't do much, didn't get any kills, didn't have Zonya's, dies immediately. So you don't have any damage, you don't have a gold lead anymore if both of those guys are gone.
Hear me out. We were getting too ahead of ourselves. They still have Hextech Soul. They're just equaling it up so that there's less. We got to keep it down, Valdez.
Sorry.
That is a roller coaster of a gold graph.
So T1, I mean, credit to them. They essentially were like, okay, they're a little bit fragmented. They're not really set up well for a fight. We have Zeus on a flank. Let's try to force this. And at first I was really worried because Zeus nearly died. But the fact that he doesn't die and stays alive and drags all of the DPS straight into his team so that Faker and Guma, who are just shelling huge amounts of damage even from behind, can just shred everybody down, especially the squishies that got themselves out of position. That's a fantastic fight for T1. Yeah, they lost the Hextech Soul, but now they have Baron and the gold is even, so it's anybody's game from here.
After or during game number 1, we were like, what if it's a challenger situation? What if it was all just building up to it coming down to this one flip? And we fought that in game 1, and then the fight was basically lost before the flip happened.
Yeah.
Surely this time will be different, Valdez. The Hextech Soul, the value is so nuts. If you can just hit a little bit of poke, we see for T1, Guma sitting at 3 items. His Ws are going to be doing a whole lot of damage. The good thing for KT is that they didn't lose too much of the base, right? They gave up an individual lowers.
Here comes the combo. It's Feral and he's Braum and he is very tanky and he's actually going to get away. As now True Shot Barrage going to do a bunch of damage to Zeus and Guma, but Yeah, a decent amount used to try to get barreled there, but at the end of the day, he survives. It is going to take him out of the fight, and meanwhile, Faker utilizing that Baron buff in the top lane to try to get themselves even ahead on gold at this point in time.
Oh, you gotta feel though the shift that's happened when it comes to the momentum of the game. It's T1 calling the shots. Should be harder the moment that this Red Bull Baron power play is gonna end. They're at the end of it now. They didn't get the mid lane turret. They got both outers in the side lane, so it's still a colossal win for T1. There was what, like a 6-7k gold deficit? That's gone.
Yeah.
They're still facing down a Hextech Soul. And as long as KT is able to get to Elder first, take control of their own jungle, get there first, and just have Deft and BDD proc that Hextech Soul again and again and again. Don't take poke, don't walk into flanks, don't let Zeus distract you from just killing one single person on the enemy team. And please, Perfect, find some people to impale. And I want KT to win. It would be such a cool story.
Well, might not happen. Faker is going to get out. And he was trying to, you know, we saw this yesterday with Sponge getting baited by the
oh yeah,
by the Void Scuttle. I think it was Sponge.
Yeah, no, the Zyran and T1 TP behind them, and
Genji.
Ooh,
Right.
No, I'm thinking of a different. Whoa. I'm thinking of another Zyra that I think I think it was Sponge who got.
Maybe it was T1. I don't know. Faker's gonna get poked out in a big way.
There's the soul.
Yeah, and you know they still got that. So we're essentially saying, okay, T1, they have come back in a huge way in this game, but KT are still in control. They still have Hextech Soul. And the goal is even, but yeah, I mean, as long as you don't send yourself into a Zeri and a Tristana and get totally out of position, you're in a good spot.
There are the backs. Gonna be taking our portals. Gonna be making our way over. Everyone's gonna sit on a bunch of control wards. Free items done.
Elixir.
Free items done for Deft. This is what's gonna decide the game. Perfect actually finished his Randwins. Super high value against the double AD carry comp. This is the moment. We're gonna have to see KT either poke them down or find a target for Pioshik so they can actually start resetting and take over these fights. He's a very fat member. You want to try and play around him.
Yeah, just don't go all into the Cassante. I think you're probably feeling pretty good. Faker does get away, but IE is complete here for Guma. 4 items for him, only 3 for Deft. And the Elder has spawned. So here we go, True Shot Barrage. Decent amount of damage already on her. Eating some damage from the Elder Drake. And it's going to come down to positioning and the way this fight is going to break out.
For KT, I think you want to play slow. Faker TPing to get pressure on the side wave. Join the rest of his team. Doesn't run the risk of getting caught.
Hextech Soul already getting some nice value with those Mystic shots. And KT, you know, they've dragged this Drake over to their side, and they're just allowing T1 to try to tank it up. Ascaria looking for an engage, but he's getting extremely low. Has to go into his ult. Now he has to engage, but it comes down to a flip, and it goes to Pioshik! As BDD goes in, immediately the Brawl goes down. The supports are out, but the resets are coming in, and the Elder Drake is doing its job. Faker and Guma still alive, though, as now trying to go back in here is not sure about that. Is Pioshik going to be able to take him down? The TP's coming in. KT, they get the Drake. Can they get the game?
Is that going to be it? Zeus going back in there. I don't think he ever gets out. Was so close to killing Pioshik. Pioshik, I think, got the ult on Q3 there. Even with the Elder buff.
Oh, they're going
there. It was a tough one. Yeah, they have to. There are still 2 great sources of wave floor available. The health bars are low, and if they run the risk of losing that Elder buff, they can't afford to. And it is Challengers, baby!
It's Challengers, baby.
Just an Elder flip. Keria tries so hard to keep Pioshik out, but he ults in, gets the smite. And then the fact that the fight is even remotely close, testament to T1's ability to fight. Guma, I imagine his damage numbers after that one are going to be off the chart. But look at those icons. Look at those borders for Perfect, Pioshik, and BDD.
They are Exodia colored.
And Deft is the only one who didn't get anything, man.
Yeah.
No Elder, no Baron. At least Barrel's got a Baron.
Yeah, he's staying alive. Can't say the same about Deft. But
that said, Valdez, they only have 55 seconds left. on this Elder.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they got to do something with it.
well, they
right?
have Baron, so they should be able to get at least top in here within that time. But I don't think it's done.
Yeah, I don't think they can end the game really on this. Let's see. I mean, this top inhibitor should definitely go down, right? Double buff. We get the cool colors going on. We got Exodia here. And T1 can't really fight this yet. The TP's going to come in as well, just 100%.
Oh, I would love it. KT, just send it. Try to end it.
20
Look at
seconds.
the Hextech burn.
20 seconds. They got the burn. They got the Hextech. They're trying to go for these Nexus turrets. But the wave is cleared.
10 seconds.
Kind of. I mean, this Nexus turret is going to go down. And KT looking for the end. And 3 seconds to 1. No Elder buff left, but the damage is ticking. And down will go Zeus. Carrier extremely low, and finally he did it impale. He impaled an enemy. He finally did it, and KT, they will finally get a big win here in the LCK as they take down T1 at their own T1 home ground and get